An ex-LA police officer.
He was unhinged. He was unhinged.
Snaps and goes on a revenge shooting spree.
He became a common criminal. Common criminal.
One victim tells his horrifying story.
Did you think you were gonna die?
Yeah, I was just kind of gurgling blood.
And how fate stepped in to save his life.
The phone actually stopped the round.
The bullet hit the phone?
Coming up next.
Season 11 starts now. I became a doctor to help people heal. Now I'm using the same science and medicine to take on true crime. On today's True Crime, one man took an oath. He swore to protect and serve his community, but became fueled with rage and revenge. Ex-LAPD cop Chris Dorner would spend years plotting his ultimate payback to the people he felt had wronged him and robbed him of his career. Dorner sent California authorities on a tireless manhunt. It would take days to bring him down, but not before he stole the lives of 2 police officers and 2 innocent civilians. We're going inside the rampage of Chris Dorner's revenge, and we're going to meet one brave man who miraculously lived to tell about it. Take a look. Christopher Dorner was a United States Naval Reserve officer. During his time in the reserve, Dorner joined the Los Angeles Police Department and graduated from the academy in 2006. In 2008, Dorner was furious after being fired by the LAPD for making false statements in a report. He appealed his case and lost. February 3rd, 2013, Chris would murder a young Irvine couple, 28-year-old Monica Kwan and her fiancé, 27-year-old Keith Lawrence. Monica Kwan was the daughter of Randall Kwan, an LAPD captain. On February the 4th, Chris posted an 11,000-word manifesto on Facebook declaring war on the LAPD, listing 40 law enforcement personnel by name and stating his intent to kill each of them and their families unless the LAPD publicly admitted he was fired in retaliation for reporting excessive force. For the next 8 days, Christopher Dorner led police on a zigzagging manhunt from LA to the US-Mexican border. He would go on to kill 35-year-old Riverside police officer Michael Crane before he barricaded himself in a cabin near Big Bear Lake in California on February the 12th. During the ensuing standoff with police, Dorner would severely injure Sergeant Alex Collins and kill Collins' partner, Detective Jeremiah McKay. The police shot tear gas canisters into the cabin, which caused the cabin to light on fire. There was a single gunshot from inside as the cabin went up in flames. Dorner's body was found in the cabin, having died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Joining me now is crime correspondent Melissa Moore. This LAPD officer decided to become judge, jury, and executioner. What happened? What was the source of its intense anger?
Well, as you saw in the clip there, he was a hero before. He's known as being a hero. That's what he was used to. It's a part of his identity in his career, why he chose to be that in his career. What's interesting about him is that that was his narrative, and he was constantly being rejected for what he believed to be his truth, which is he was innocent, he wanted his name cleared, that there was excessive force used in the LAPD's force still, that the Rodney King days are still alive and well in LAPD. So that was his point. He wanted to prove that, but he was fired in 2008. And that created multiple years for him to do appeals, to go through the appeal process. Those were denied and rejected, which just furthered his rage.
So he's simmering that whole time. So at first, these ambush killings seemed random. At least it seemed random to folks who were at the time trying to figure out what was going on. Were the people he was murdering on his manifesto, on this list of 40 LAPD officers?
Well, the first 2 were calculated and planned, and it was the LAPD's captain's daughter and fiance. The last 2 were not, and that showed to me that he was unhinged. He became a common criminal. So he became exactly what he said he didn't want to be.
And how was it that the LAPD finally cornered him, and what took so long?
Well, I remember living in LA when this was happening, and we were glued to our TV sets. We were watching every day because it was kind of similar to the DC sniper case. If you recall those days when people were afraid to pump their gas. Well, this was a localized area in LA, and he could be anywhere. We were actually on the lookout. Everybody was on the lookout for this description of this man and looking out for him, because not only now he's not going after the 40, which the 40 people in his manifesto, we knew that they were targets, but now it was anybody. Yeah. And so that's what was terrifying about this.
And harder to predict his movements, because you
right.
come unhinged, as you say.
Yeah, and he was going from county to county, so there's different police authorities communicating to different police authorities. So he's just jumping around. I mean, he could have been in California where we're located. He could be in San Diego. He could be in Riverside. It's a large territory to cover.
So Chris escaped police, moving from car to car, county to county, as you mentioned, until he was spotted in San Bernardino, California. Joining us now, is Sergeant Alex Collins. Alex Collins was shot in the face by Dorner during the final shootout. This crazed cop was taking deadly revenge against fellow officers and their families. I thank you for being here.
Thanks, sir.
As I hear the story, it seems like he broke every code of conduct. What he was so proudly trying to uphold, he ended up taking out on his fellow officers. You were his revenge.
Yep.
How did that affect you? Realize that he'd thrown it all away?
Well, with him, I think, you know, in the news, he was portrayed as a law enforcement officer, but obviously he was not. He tried to be, and he got fired. And I think there were some other things going on with him, but I think I never liked seeing that. I worked very hard to become a deputy sheriff, and I was proud to be a deputy sheriff. And when it's on the media and it's a former LAPD officer, former cop, it makes us all look bad. So it was frustrating.
Now, you actually volunteered to join this manhunt. What prompted you?
Yeah, so I was on maternity leave. My wife had just given birth to our first son, and I was at home, and we're watching all this on the news. Like, it was a big story. And my two older brothers on the department with me, and my oldest brother, Ryan, had called me and said, hey, I think we found Dorner's truck in Big Bear, and that's where both of us were assigned at that time. So
despite, I suspect, the proclamations of your wife, you leave home, leave a newborn child, you go on this manhunt. Now, as you realize that you were getting closer and closer to him, you also appreciated how lethal he was. He'd murdered 4 people already. What was going through your mind? How did that affect you?
Yeah, we all read the manifesto. You know, it was a 5-day manhunt. He was already murdered 3 people, murdered a cop, shot another cop, and so we knew when we found him it was going to be a gunfight.
Did you fear for your life, as brave as you are to be an officer in the beginning? Just walking into gunfire is something different.
Yeah, we were on edge, definitely during the manhunt. We knew what the outcome was going to be, so it was a little bit different than a day-to-day call, but we get that when you go to answer patrol calls and stuff like that. You know, every call is going to be different, so your emotions are going up and down all day long. So,
did you think it might be you who would take the bullet?
I wanted to find him. I didn't want to take a bullet, but I wanted to be the one, you know, that got him, that took him into custody, or so.
Whatever was required.
Yeah.
Up next, the shocking details of what happened once Chris Dorner opened fire on Alex. Don't go away.
The secrets to aging backwards. And what you can do now to turn back the clock.
We're cracking the code for aging.
Plus, the dish crew is serving up
it's almost like a party in my mouth.
the ooeyest, gooeyest, cheesiest, mouth-watering meals.
Everybody grab a corner. We're going to pull apart.
All new Oz. That's coming up tomorrow.
We were back discussing the brutal revenge of disgruntled ex-LAPD cop Christopher Dorner, who was fired from the force for lying on a complaint report. Now, Dorner spent years plotting his payback on the LAPD, taking the lives of 2 officers and 2 civilians. With me is Sergeant Alex Collins, who experienced the final shootout with Christopher Dorner. So you've got surveillance on the cabin where you believe he is. Chris opens fire. He hits you. Did it ever cross your mind that this could be it? And what did the bullet actually do, the first one that hit you?
So we're on that manhunt for 5 days, and then he ends up stealing a car, and we didn't know he was in the cabin at that time. We're looking for, he had carjacked somebody, so we're looking for this car, and then we come across a cabin, and there's some tire tracks going in between the property. One of my colleagues was familiar with that area. He goes, hey, I think we should check this cabin out. There's something up with those tire tracks. So me and my partners, I think there's 4 or 5 of us down there at this time. We got out and we were going to look at the tire tracks and maybe clear that cabin and see if there's anything. Maybe he might been in there. My thought process, we're looking for a car at the time. I'm like, he's not going to be in a cabin. We're looking. He just carjacked somebody. We're looking for his car. So what he did, he carjacked this person and he drove the car through the property and crashed it down a small ravine. Ran, forced entry into the cabin, was sitting inside the living room of that cabin. And so we got out of our cars to go investigate those tire tracks and see if there's anything in there.
And you don't know he's in the cabin?
No, we did not know he was in the cabin at this time.
So you're unarmed, you've got a gun, but you're not, you were just walking around looking at tracks, and what happens?
Yeah, we're trying to be a little tactical about it, but yeah, so I get out and I start looking down at these tire tracks, and right when I break like the first plane of the window of that cabin, Dorner starts firing at me. So the first round hit me, went in next to my left nostril, right here, went diagonal. Luckily I was looking down, went through the roof of my mouth, through my tongue, and then came out the right side of my jaw.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
So again, because you were looking down, thankfully, instead of going directly back into your brain, it ricochets off your jaw and exits, I can see it now, to the right side.
Yeah, it just came out right there on my jawline.
So what was going through your mind? That obviously intensely painful, but it sounds like you're in a war movie at this point.
Yeah, so that was the first round. Second round hit me in my chest. Third round hit me in my left forearm, shot my rifle out of my hand, and then I turned to take cover behind a parked vehicle, and I was shot in the left knee joint.
This is all happening boom,
Yeah,
boom, boom.
So I took cover behind the car, and he continued to fire rounds at me behind the...
Well, you already wounded potentially lethally.
Yeah.
4 times. Did you think you were going to die?
Yeah, at that point, I could feel my mouth, all my teeth were knocked out. My tongue was shot in half, and I was just kind of gurgling blood. And it was something like you see in the movies. Like, okay, I knew it because I had a soft body armor on at the time, and I was wearing a tack vest with. And I know those rounds, they don't stop. Rifle rounds, we knew he was shooting a rifle, and it was just right above my left pec, right on my heart. So I was like, I get behind cover, and he's still shooting at me, and then he stops for a second. There are a couple minutes. My partner started returning fire at the cabin, and I just start thinking about my wife and this brand new baby we have. I start thinking about my older brothers. I felt that I had let them down, that they're going to be disappointed in me.
Disappointed because you died?
Yeah, I felt like I let them down. When I joined the department, I always wanted to make them proud, and they joined prior to me getting on, and I just wanted to be a good deputy like they were. So I felt like I let them down, and my wife with this 2-week-old baby at home. So I reached in, I carried my phone in my chest pocket of my jacket, and I had my tack vest over my jacket. So I reached under my vest, and I pulled my phone out, and the phone actually stopped the round.
The bullet hit the phone?
Yeah, it went through my vest, hit the phone, and it slowed it down enough. It didn't penetrate my chest cavity. It just gave me a cool scar. So
the phone saved your life?
Yeah. So
you pull the phone out?
Yeah, and the phone is like destroyed. It didn't really register. When I got hit in the head, it kind of rang my bell a little bit. So I'm like, oh man, now my phone's broken. Just kind of that feeling.
Exactly what I would have thought.
Yeah, so I looked at it, and I kind of just threw it to the side in the bushes, and I'm like, man. So
why'd you reach for the phone in the first place?
I was going to call Lila and tell her I'm sorry for leaving her with this brand new baby. It's just kind of everything you see on the news. Just whenever an officer gets murdered, it's leaves behind a brand new baby or 4 kids, and it was just.
So with 4 bullet holes in you, including 1 through your face and neck, you were going to call your wife and say you were sorry?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I felt like I let everybody down.
Actually, Lila, can I speak to Lila for one second? Your wife, beautiful wife, is in the audience. Lila, I know you've heard this story, but it's just, you were watching the news like the rest of us.
Yeah.
So you didn't even know he was trying to call you. What was going
No, I didn't.
What was going through your mind even before you learned what had happened to him is you knew your husband was in the same vicinity as this murderer?
I think that, like, as a police wife, you kind of, you know that it's a possibility, so you kind of are somewhat prepared. You know it's a possibility, but you never think that it'll happen to you, so.
So when he told you this story, actually, how did you find out he had been shot?
His mom called me.
You called your mom first?
No.
No, my older brothers were there during this whole thing, and they heard that 2 officers were down, but they didn't see me up there, and they didn't hear me on the radio, so they after they got us out, they ended up trying to call me and find out where I was at, and then they got a hold of my partner, but when they drugged me out, two of the officers, they ran out there and they risked their lives to save me. They ran out there in the middle of the open, with gunfire, and they drugged me back to a car. So when they drugged me back, my detective partner, they were dragging me. I was on my stomach, and I gave him a thumbs up that I was trying to tell him I was going to be okay. And then my older brother called him. And
but you didn't actually know if you were going to be okay.
Oh no, I thought I was going to die. Like, it went back and forth where I'm like, okay, I'm going to die. Like, and then after, we're out there for a long time, I'm like, all right, maybe I'll make it. So, but I just kept telling myself, like, don't freak out, don't say anything. Reputation is everything in law enforcement department, and I was like, don't say anything, because the last thing these guys are gonna remember is you over here screaming and crying about how bad your leg hurts. So I'm like, just don't say anything.
I would have cried. Yeah. I would have cried and yelled for sure.
Yeah.
So Lila, you hear your husband is shot from your mother-in-law. What went through your mind?
Well, she did tell me that he gave the thumbs up before he left, so it kind of gave me like some relief. I thought, oh, maybe just, shot in the arm or shot in the leg, which it was, but I didn't realize it was that bad.
Well, now that you know that he really didn't know if he was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he was pretty close to sacrificing everything.
Yeah, we figured that out once we got to the hospital, and they said how bad it was, but.
So thankfully you made it, and you were brave to have come and told your story, but more importantly, to have done what you did. But your partner, I should point out, Alex's partner was Detective Jeremiah McKay. He was shot and killed right in front of you.
Yep.
What was that like?
So McKay was shot a few minutes after I was. We both took cover behind the car. I got shot first, and then he went and he was behind the engine of the car, and he was, doing a really great job. He was, coordinating with our helicopter where Dorner was at in the cabin, returning fire at the cabin, and he was struck by Dorner's gunfire and was killed behind the car.
When did you realize he was gone?
I did not know McKay had died until probably about a week when I woke up at the hospital and his funeral was on TV. So.
Fate's strange, isn't it? I mean, either of you could have gone that day.
Mm-hmm.
You ever think about that?
All the time.
How do you make sense of why he died that day and why you're able to get past it?
I mean, we just have to remember his sacrifice, what he did, and the years he put in. 13 years on the department, was a great cop, great detective.
Was he married?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
You talked to his wife?
Yes. Yeah. And Lila and her are really good friends, and he had a new baby as well.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it like talking to her, Lila?
I didn't really get close to her until like a while after, because I didn't know her prior to. So, but she's a really strong person, and she's a really good mom.
Yep.
And we try to get the kids together and so we can spend time together, but yeah.
Well, up next, Alex suffered devastating injuries that could have easily taken his life. His miraculous story of survival is next. Stay with us.
A young mom murdered.
My whole life changed.
A cold case until one key piece of evidence opened it back up.
Our cell phones track us every single day.
All new Oz.
That's coming up next week. We're back with Sergeant Alex Collins, who miraculously survived the brutal revenge of disgruntled ex-LAPD cop Christopher Dorner, who took the lives of 2 officers and 2 civilians, including Alex's partner, Detective Jeremiah McKay. Now, during the final shootout, Alex sustained multiple gunshot wounds. The first bullet shot him in the face. It went through his left nostril, down through the roof of his mouth, shattering his front teeth and passing through his tongue and exiting his jaw. The second bullet hit his forearm. The third bullet hit his left leg right below the knee joint. And the fourth bullet hit his chest, but the phone in his pocket prevented the bullet from entering your body, shattering your heart, and saved your life. You've had a bunch of surgeries.
Yeah.
How many did it take to put you back together again?
I think 20, and they're
20 surgeries.
Yeah, that's what I was told, and then they're still working on some more. They're still working on my teeth, and I got another bone graft for under my nose here scheduled for next week.
So a 20 already and a bunch more to come.
Hopefully only 2 more, so we'll see.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
These injuries not just could have, but should have taken your life.
Mm-hmm.
You ever wake up at night and wonder, oh my goodness, that was close. I'm lucky to be alive.
Yeah, I thought about that, but I try not to think about it and try and move on the best I can from this. And I don't normally talk about this really, and just try and go out there and, go back to work and move on.
So why do you think you survived? What's your purpose? What's out there for you that you need to do now that you've been given a second lease on life?
I don't know what the purpose is, but I don't take things for granted at all. I go out there and I push it hard, PT hard, work hard, and try and be a good dad. So
about 7 months after all these injuries, miraculously, not only did you survive, but you actually went back onto the force.
Yeah, I went back to light duty, or modified duty, to come back.
And what do you tell your fellow cops about what this experience has shared with you? What's your advice to them?
I think, what I take away from it is, fighting for your life, there's nothing really like it. But I think I have this, I always say some people are born with it, with this mental strength. Some people earn it, and I definitely got it from this. And I'm able to push myself further than I ever thought I'd be able to. And again, I just, don't take things for granted and appreciate the time I have with my family and friends. So.
And next time you're on leave and with Lila and the kids, and you will get called into some volunteer duty.
Oh, I'm still going.
You're still going?
Yeah.
God bless you. You're a brave man.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you do.
Oh, appreciate
and
it.
Lila,
Thank you.
thanks for supporting him. We'll be right back. I'm here with my good friend Deepak Chopra, and he's a brand new personality quiz that you're not going to want to miss.
Showing you how to unleash your infinite potential.
No pressure, no pressure. Are you living every day to its fullest? It's a simple question. Or do you feel drained, like you're sleepwalking through life? Well, my next guest says he has a plan to awaken you. Deepak Chopra is the guru who Oprah and Madonna turned to. Today, he's your own personal guide, giving you the ultimate personality quiz to unleash your infinite potential. Please welcome my good friend, Deepak Chopra.
Thank you.
This is the man I rely on when I have deep questions. And I've always, and I've told everyone this, when I was a young surgeon, I would stay up late at night watching videos you had made just to understand what was deeper than what I was facing in the hospital. And I'd love if you just give folks a little bit of an insight into, because everyone sort of sees, what you see is what you get. They think about that for themselves, think about that for the life around them. But you see there's so much more potential. You've always said this.
Yes, we only see that which you're conditioned to seeing. So when a child is born, the child is full of wonder, curiosity, joy, love, compassion, empathy. And then we impose limitations by saying, you are this entity with this name, this nationality, this ethnic race, and now you're bamboozled into a restricted identity when in fact your potential is infinite. It's the awareness in which the body and the mind and the world is happening all at the same time.
Use that word awareness.
Yes.
Is awareness the new word for, mindfulness, what used to be the phrase that we were using? Are they the same thing?
It's a little beyond that, because awareness of the mind is not the mind. If you're aware of a thought, then automatically you know that I'm not the thought. The awareness of this experience is not this experience. This is a perceptual changing experience. The awareness is the timeless seer in the midst of time-bound experiences, what spiritual traditions call the soul.
The timeless seer.
In the midst of the changing scenery. We are right now in the midst of the changing scenery, and our body and our mind is part of the scenery, because you are aware of this, and what you're thinking all at the same time.
And we're above that.
We are above that.
So, how aware are you? That's the question of today's show. So we've got a quiz to recognize and realize your infinite potential. So grab a piece of paper, or use the notepad on your phone. Just keep track of the answers, because we're going to give you a couple questions and have you count up the points at the end. The choices are always going to be never, I never do this. Sometimes it's true, or it's always true. Keep track of how many of each number that you get, and we'll give you your score at the end. So first question, how often do you desire to be understood better by others?
3 points for never, 2 points sometimes, 1 point for always.
See, I actually always want to be understood. I'm a teacher. It drives me crazy if my kids, folks watching the show, frankly, even my opponents who don't like what I'm saying, I want them to understand my point.
Yes, but if you're focusing on that, then you're not focusing on making them understand your point. So the journey is the destination. If I'm walking from here to there, if I'm only looking there, I'll stumble here. So it's a question of being in the process and being detached from the outcome, at the same time knowing that the outcome is guaranteed. If you're studying for an exam, then you study. You're not thinking about the results all the time. Then when do you do the studying?
Okay. Next question. Shawnee from audience is going to help us with this. You ready, Shawnee?
Yes.
Deepak's going to blow your mind. So, how often do you sense flawlessness and beauty in everything and everyone just as they are?
1 point. 1 point for never, 2 points for sometimes, 3 points for always.
Oh, 3 points for always. Always. I believe that flawlessness manifested me being here today. Today is my birthday, and I didn't make plans.
Good for you being here.
Yeah. And I happen to be using the meditation around abundance that you have created, and I'm on day 8. And I manifested you and this because I believe like flawlessness shows up. I don't have to do much of anything.
So flawlessness flows as effortless spontaneity and synchronicity. It's what the spiritual traditions call grace. Some people call it good luck, and some people call it being at the right place at the right time, meaningful coincidences. This is a sign that you're in touch with yourself. You're aware of being aware.
I'll share.
You got grace going for you.
Yes.
That's always nice.
That's it.
All right, next question. How often do you feel that you are defending the self-image you hold about yourself? I'm going to come back to grace in a second, and soul and all these big ideas, but keep track of your points for now. Please explain this question, because it's interesting, defending what you're holding on to and being motivated by fear and mistrust are continuous conflicts.
If you're constantly defending your self-image, you're sacrificing yourself for your selfie. You are not your selfie. This is right now the perceptual snapshot of your self-image. Who you really are is a field of infinite possibilities. If you go beyond your self-image to your true self, you have insight, intuition, creativity, vision, higher consciousness. This is what we all want.
That's unbelievable. All right, next question. How often do you feel your actions are motivated by fear and mistrust?
Fear suggests that you feel separate from existence. But there's no way to be separate from existence. We are part of existence. And the opposite of fear is, of course, as everybody says, love and compassion and joy, and loss of fear, which allows you to tap into the ecosystem that we call life. When you're connected with life, your life flourishes.
All right, last question is, how often do you feel truly alive, filled with vitality? It's something we talk about, but you got to grade yourself now. So,
well, I wake up every morning with 4 intentions: joyful, energetic body, loving, compassionate heart, reflective, alert mind, and lightness of being.
If you do that, you give yourself 3 points. If you sometimes do what he was talking about, 2 points, and if you never think about the whole question, it's 1 point. So hope everyone counted their points up, because it's time to reveal the results. Where do you fall on the awareness spectrum? If your points added up to between 12 and 15, you're most aware of your potential. That's pretty cool. If your score fell between 8 and 11, you're more or less in the middle, right? Moderately aware of your potential. That's sort of where I ended up. I had 11 points on the scale. And those of you who score between 5 and 7, you're the least aware of your potential. So you got something to do about it. So Shawnee, let's bring you back in again, if you don't mind. What was your overall score?
13.
13?
Yes.
Look at that.
He's a champion.
She manifest everything.
Yes.
It's just true grace. All right, for the mere mortals like me and a lot of the other folks watching now, we're going to give you some clues, because coming up, awareness is the new mindfulness. Deepak's ultimate trick to becoming more aware. Stick around.
The secrets to aging backwards, and what you can do now to turn back the clock. Plus, the Dish Crew is serving up the ooeyest, gooeyest, cheesiest, mouth-watering meals. That's coming up tomorrow.
Before the break, we gave everyone a quiz. If you missed it, you can find the entire quiz on DrOz.com right this second. Now, Deepak says there is a spectrum of awareness. What does that mean?
To be fully present to experience in the present moment and also to yourself is presence, which is awareness. It is the timeless factor in every experience. So I'm going to ask you guys, are you present right now?
Yes.
Say it a little more enthusiastically.
Yes.
Now I'm going to ask you the same question, but don't answer it. Are you present right now? Be aware of being aware. Be aware of that which is listening. So one can, at any moment, stop and ask oneself, am I present? Yeah. And that's the way you expand your awareness. Because if you're not present, then your awareness is very restricted. If you're present, then all this is happening right now, and it's joyful, and there's nothing wrong with it. The wrongness comes from anticipation, regrets, memories, resistance, and that interferes with what we call flow, transcendence, effortless spontaneity.
So Deepak's in a wonderful new book. It's called Metahuman, Unleashing Your Infinite Potential. And he calls this the high level of self-awareness. What exactly is a metahuman?
Meta means beyond. Human, in this case, refers to our robotic, conditioned mind. Everybody is a bundle of conditioned reflexes constantly being triggered by people and circumstance into stressful outcomes. If you step back and you can be aware of yourself, that's the highest intelligence, to observe yourself without judging yourself.
Oh, it's deep stuff. So Deepak's team found that we can improve your score on the awareness spectrum in as little as a week of focused mind. And you know, your body can improve it accordingly as well.
Yeah, the body is a projection.
So the test we just took in the last segment, you can actually improve your skill in not just a little bit of effort. So there's one thing that people can start doing right now that you talk about in the book. And it has to do with closing off your ears, a little sensory deprivation.
Well, you close your ears, sound becomes muffled. You open them, sound is there again. You are present as awareness in the sound and in the absence of sound, and in the wide range of sounds that are part of every moment of experience. That applies to every sense.
All right, let's just do sound for a second. So everyone, if you don't mind, put your hands, before you close your ears off, keep your hands there till I take my hands down. It's fair? Welcome to this. Look straight ahead, cup your hands over your ears, right? And if we just give that 2 or 3 seconds, and put your hands down. Now that deprivation of sound allowed us to...
You'll have better appreciation of sound if you muffle the sound and experience it again. Similarly, if you close your eyes in darkness and then immediately open them, your visual acuity will improve.
I think, because I read the book, I thought there was also a benefit of allowing yourself to be free of the distraction of sound. So for example, one more time, put your hands, make it more challenging. Cup. Ooh. Did any of you notice that loud guitar playing? I mean, Sean's a world-class musician, but still, it's distracting. And if you can master the muffling, Deepak, if I'm right on this, if you can master the muffling of the loud stuff that's going on in the world, then just to get rid of some of those distractions, then you can be much closer to the self-awareness that you're preaching to us.
That's right, and you can be present to experience as it happens. And also, by muffling the sound and expanding it again, you can play with your senses, and you can actually improve your capacity for sensory experience.
Guys, discover a part of your body, parts of your body you never thought of before. Deepak, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For this full personality test, go to DrOz.com. You can also pick up a copy of Deepak Chopra's fantastic book, Metahuman, for the full 31-day guide to unleashing your infinite potential. Sean, play us the break.
A betrayed wife secretly records her husband, then kills his girlfriend.
She took my husband away.
Before killing herself. All New Oz. That's coming up on Thursday.
It's a common problem that's aging you. It's affecting how you look and how you feel in the mirror. And I'm not talking about the wrinkles or the crow feet, but your smile could be aging you. It turns out that every decade that we age, our teeth darken 1 to 2 shades. So when we're young, we start off with these beautiful, beautiful pearly whites, right? But as we get older, your teeth have been exposed, maybe to tannins from years of drinking red wine, tea, coffee, all the fun things you do. Or maybe you haven't always had the best oral hygiene, right? Now compare these beautiful pearly whites to this, right? Now all these factors can cause the outer layer of enamel on your teeth to get worn away, leaving you with the natural yellow color that's underneath. But your teeth don't have to stay this way. So I've asked dentist to the stars, Catrice Austin, who's here on behalf of my trusted sponsor partner, USANA Health Sciences, to join me. You say folks are making a big mistake when it comes to their oral hygiene. Walk us through this.
For most of us, when it comes to our oral hygiene, it stops with just brushing our teeth. And as a dentist, I have been guilty of this too, yes. But there's more to just oral hygiene than that initial minty fresh breath. Why not create a routine that will work for you throughout the day?
So the first step in any smart oral health regime from a dentist who takes care of all the big names is?
The first step is you want to use USANA's fluoride-free toothpaste. It's a whitening toothpaste that is hydrogen peroxide-free, and it is made of naturally derived ingredients, including aloe vera, baking soda, calcium carbonate, and coconut oil. But the feature is the postbiotic, which will draw in all the impurities in your mouth and gently rinse them away, leaving you with a clean, polished, whiter smile and less surface staining.
I'm interested. But I want to say, let me send some smiles out here. Time for a selfie check. Everyone smile. Here, I got a victim right here. Okay, ready? Smile. What's your name?
Carmita.
Carmita, come on over here, Carmita.
Okay.
You have a beautiful smile.
Thank you.
You brush regularly?
Yes.
All right, so that's step one.
Okay.
I'll be right back, Dr. Austin. All right, but I'm going to show you why your oral hygiene should involve more than just brushing.
Okay.
And this is something a lot of us haven't thought about. You drink coffee, wine?
A little too much.
A little too much.
Yes.
All right. So let's just see, this is your tooth right now. And it's sitting in there, and I'm about to pour you a little bottle of wine. And as I do that, right, there's an impact on you of having that wine. And it is a very clear one. You have a little bit of staining that happens. But if you're wise about the way you manage your teeth, ideally, you would coat them, right? Imagine if you could put your teeth into something or put something on your teeth and your gums in your mouth that could actually coat it so that you wouldn't have that same result.
Nice.
So if I were to do that, and I'll do you a little demonstration, and I pour that exact same wine on that you should be enjoying, because wine's good for you, so is coffee and tea in the right amounts, right? And I'm pouring it on there, and this time, same thing, same amount of wine, but there's a subtle difference you may notice. In fact, you know what we should do? I'll challenge you. You go ahead and dry your tooth off. I'll do the same on mine.
Okay.
And we'll see what our teeth look like after that. All right? Now, if you look around carefully at the little nooks and crannies of your teeth, you'll see a little difference here. And that difference is measurable. You'll notice that my tooth is a little cleaner than your tooth.
Definitely.
Right? The staining on your teeth happens because you haven't coated it the right way. And the question is, how do you do that? You interested in learning more?
Yes,
All right,
absolutely.
Let me deposit you back and go back to our world expert, Dr. Austin, because she's suggesting that there's one additional step beyond just brushing your teeth, which you got to start with.
Okay.
All right, have a seat.
Okay.
So here's the thing. You want to add a probiotic to the oral care routine.
Yes.
I'll say it again. A probiotic to your oral care routine.
Yes.
Because most of us, myself included, always thought that was about our gut. So Dr. Austin, you argue we need to go one step further than brushing to add a probiotic to our oral hygiene regimen.
Yes, it's USANA's oral probiotic tablets. Now, the tablets have 1 billion colony-forming units, which is essential for replenishing the microflora in the mouth and creating a balanced ecosystem in the mouth. The microorganisms will bind together, create a protective layer that will protect your smile, and it won't be rinsed away with saliva.
So I always thought probiotics should work for the gut. Do they have to be in your mouth as well?
Yes, it's very, very similar, the mouth and the gut, and they both have a distinct community of microorganisms that influence health.
Very specifically, so the tablets come in this form. You take one, you swallow it, you chew it, what do you do?
You don't swallow it, you're just gonna take it, put it in your mouth, and let it swish around in your mouth until it dissolves. You wanna do this at night before you go to bed, but after you brush your teeth, because I know everybody out there in Ozland is brushing at night.
Thank goodness.
And let it just reap the full benefits of a long-term healthy mouth, teeth, and gums.
All right, so I'll know your homework assignments now. Where do you find the USANA fluoride-free toothpaste, and where do you find the USANA oral probiotic?
You can get both at usana.com.
All right, for everybody at home, thanks to our partner, USANA Health Sciences, you can go to droz.com for a chance to win. For a chance to win one of 1,000 tubes of USANA fluoride-free whitening toothpaste and a month's supply of USANA oral probiotics. Plus, everyone in the studio audience is going home with USANA fluoride-free whitening toothpaste and a month's supply of USANA oral probiotics. Enjoy it, use it, do the right thing for yourself. We'll be right back. On the next true crime, the high-profile murder of Angie Dodge. One man would end up spending over 20 years in prison. But was he really the killer? Angie's mom actually helped exonerate her own daughter's convicted killer before new DNA evidence found another suspect. Take a look.
It was the summer of 1996, as the quiet town of Idaho Falls, Idaho slept. 18-year-old Angie Ray Dodge was viciously raped and murdered in her apartment. With no leads, police were stumped. It wasn't until 6 months later, police got a break, which led them to 20-year-old Christopher Tapp. Tapp confessed after multiple interviews and polygraph tests to holding Angie down while she was attacked and stabbed that night. Christopher Tapp was tried and sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. On March 22, 2017, after spending over 20 years in prison, and with the support of Angie's family, it was proven that Tapp's DNA did not match any of the DNA left at the crime scene or on Angie's body. Tapp walked away a free man.
On the next true crime, Angie's mom and brother are here, and what they have to say will shock you. Now, before we go, I want to let you know about an exciting campaign my partners over at ShareCare are running. Now, you know how old your driver's license says your age, right? But do you know how old your body thinks you are, right? It's called your real age. To find out, go to sharecare.com and take the real age test. If you take it during the month of October, you will be entered for a chance to win $5,000. $5,000, guys, just for taking the test, which you learned from. So go to sharecare.com and take the real age test today, and then brag to your friends about your results. We'll see you next time.